Well, there he is. Fashionable and fashionably late as always. Say hi, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello all you lovers of fine spandex, as always I am Cosmic and today we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of Batman the Telltale series developed by Telltale Games. Those of you who know, I have a very love-hate relationship with all Telltale games because on the one hand I really love story-driven games and on the other hand I can't stand the way Telltale do them. The way in which Telltale execute their games with a lot of heavy on the quick time events and a lack of interactivity everywhere else leaves me with often a taste of wanting more depth, and it just feels more like an interactive fiction novel rather than an actual video game. That isn't to say I don't enjoy what Telltale do. I enjoyed the Walking Dead games, I enjoyed The Wolf Among Us a little bit. I certainly didn't particularly enjoy the Game of Thrones one. I thought it was a bit of a letdown. I thought that the best one that they have done so far is the Tales of the Borderlands series, which I thought the blended really well because you also had the Borderlands games, so if you wanted to go play those instead you could do that and you had that option. Now of course we have the first episode of the new Batman series. Now I was very skeptical about this, mainly because we have some damn good Batman games, mainly the Arkham series of games, including Arkham Asylum, Arkham City. My personal favourite was probably Arkham City, and those games are phenomenally good. They are the best Batman games ever made, and will continue to be the best Batman games for some time to come. So the question remained, how can Telltale produce a good Batman game that lacks pretty much every kind of gameplay mechanic that is in the really good Arkham series? How can they produce something as good and that has a authentic Batman feel without the interactivity? And I felt that while you can tell a good story in a Batman universe, that the lack of interactivity, the lack of actually getting to beat up bad guys, the lack of any investigation as, you know, the crime fighting detective is going to be somewhat problematic. So it's fair to say that I came into this with a high level of skepticism. Now, one thing that have no doubt been heard of by now is the fact that the game technically struggles wildly with a wide range of builds, and the game is technically very problematic even after the patch that they put out that tried to solve a lot of the resolution issues, because you couldn't change the resolution, a lot of the menu options issues. There's still a wide range of graphical and gameplay bugs in this game, and Telltale for a long time have almost been given a free pass because people like their games so much, they're so popular, that they're given a free pass to, you know, the almost bug-ridden problems of each of their games. Each of their games has been technically poor from the outset, and yes, patches have made them better. But even so, with the lack of what's actually going on in a Telltale game and the amount, you know, it's all scripted. There's no it's not like you're producing a Bethesda open world game where you're going to encounter a ton of bugs because that's the nature of open world gameplay. These are scripted events. These are very confined small spaces. So you should be able to polish this game near perfection to stop this. And yet, I booted up Batman. As soon as I hit play, I had problems with the resolution. I finally managed to change the resolution, even though for God knows what reason it was obscure as hell, and then booted up the game again and crashed and crashed and another crash and another crash. And I think in the first hour of me trying to play the game, I had a total of around 10 crashes, which is absolutely obscene. It's really time for consumers and players of Telltale games to really take away that free pass that they get from criticism, especially on the technical aspect of their games, because there is no logical reason for them to have this much problems, especially given the actual scope. It's episodic, for God's sake. There's no reason why it should be this messy and this buggy, especially on higher end systems. But enough about that, let's talk about the actual game itself. So, as you can expect, It's a Telltale game, it's quick time full, and there's very little else to actually do. The great thing about this game, and I have to say the thing that surprised me most, was the quality of the story. The story is a hell of a lot of fun. I really like some of the nuanced changes to the traditional Batman tales, so to speak. I don't want to talk about any spoilers. I will say that some of the characters, particularly villains in the game, have been changed, and I really like the storyline and the way that the game, especially the first episode, is setting up the storyline for the ongoing series. I really like some of the changes to the villains. I think they've made them a lot more, not only, I would say, likable in a sense, how much you can enjoy a villain, but I think that it makes a particular villain a lot more interesting than he has been done in the past. The dialogue of the game is great. It still runs into the occasional problems of things reading one way and then being said the other way, completely not what you expected, which kind of screws up your choices a little bit. That being said, for the most part, it is a really well written game. I really enjoyed the dialogue. I really enjoyed the story. I like the fact that they've made Bruce Wayne slightly different to a traditional Bruce Wayne, in the fact that you don't have to play Bruce Wayne as you would play Batman. You don't have to play Bruce Wayne as he's been portrayed before as this, gloomy, dark character. Instead, you can play him in a more light-hearted sense with a sense of humour, and that was a nice change. Those people who've played Telltale games before will know exactly what to expect from coming into this one. They will know what to find, and pretty much everything that you will see, you've probably seen before. The two things that I really enjoyed, and the two things that surprised me most, was a detective section where you actually got to do a Arkham Origins style rebuild a crime scene, and you have to link certain items together, and then it will display holographic images to replay the crime as you think it happened. That was a really interesting one, and I hope that they continue that detective theme throughout the rest of the series with more complex puzzles, etc, etc. And I would like to see maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 crime scenes per episode rather than just one. And another thing that happened was planning a fight scene. So rather than just jumping straight into a pre-scripted quick time event, what actually happened was you got to plan the fight. So you got to decide on where you would take down your enemy, on what object you would take down your enemy, and you got to plan out the sequence of events, and then you got to play it out in a quick time event, which was a lot of fun. It still was, of course, heavily scripted, and you can only take down one opponent on maybe 2 or 3 objects, so it leaves the illusion of choice, but you're not actually having a massive, you can't just go in and choose anything you want. But it's a nice illusion, and it makes quick time events feel a little bit more interactive in that sense, and it feels like it's your quick time event rather than something that everybody's playing at the exact same time. Other than that, it is your standard Telltale game with a Batman sign. But that being said, I have to say that the quality of the story and the design of the characters, I thought, was really impressive, and it was so impressive, in fact, that it gave the Batman feel to the game. And I felt like it could have gone the other way if it had done some things differently. I think if it hadn't done it and executed it as well as it has, it could have easily ended up feeling like, oh, it's just trying to be a Batman game, or it's a Telltale game with a Batman skin. But it does authentically feel like a Batman game, and I think that they've done a really good job with it. It is certainly one of the better Telltale games I have ever played, that and with, of course, the Tales of the Borderlands series. And it'll be interesting to see where they take this. I think that the first episode narratively has set some things up that could go down really well, and I hope that they continue with the quality. The story, for me, is what always comes down to in a Telltale game, because of the way that the game is designed and the style in which they do it. And for this one, I have to say that the story is a great Batman story, and it sets up for things that will be a lot of fun to play in future episodes. Is it Arkham Asylum? Is it Arkham City? No. And it's not trying to be. It's a Telltale game, and that's what it is. But it's a Telltale game centered around the Batman universe, and I think that the changes that they've made, the little nuances that they put in, the little creative, artistic design elements that they've added to the Batman universe work really well. And I think that if you enjoy Telltale games and you enjoy that style of game, you enjoy story-heavy choices and quick-time events and that kind of thing, then I think that you will really, really enjoy Batman. I think if Game of Thrones was a letdown for you, this will not be. And hopefully that they continue with the quality in that regard. Would I like another Arkham Asylum? Yes, I would. But for now, Batman Telltale series has impressed me enough to give it a shot for the rest of the series. And that's my review of episode 1 of Batman the Telltale series. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Do like, subscribe and leave a comment, and I will see you next time.